Good morning, Rabbi Sai. Nishmas imi mirosirus v'svordachai. Rabbi Sai, here we go. Toshma. The question is, in Reb Shimon Bar Yochai, Reb Shimon Bar Yochai says in the Mishnah that you don't need blood to be machshir a carbon. Again, machshir, if this is your first day, so we'll go back for 5 seconds. Anytime you have produce, meat, fruits and vegetables, they cannot become tameh until one of the 7 liquids touches them to your will. You want it to happen. And one of the liquids is blood. And the Mishnah discusses a case where you shechted an animal and there's no blood. So the Mishnah says you could touch this animal even if your hands are shneim. We're not going to give anybody trauma anymore. We're done with that sugya sheni and shlishi. So what happens if there's no blood? The Mishnah says it's not makabel tumah. Reb Shimon Bar Yochai says, yeah, it is makabel tumah. Why? Because the shechita itself is what's machshir. The shechita itself is like finishes off the job, so to speak. It's a gemar malacha, and therefore it's makabel tumah. So we had a question. Is it the pshat that it's the shechita that does it and not the liquid blood, or it's both? It's the blood and the shechita. And in a situation where there's no blood by the shechita, then the shechita will take care of the hechshel l'kabel tumah. But if there's dam, so dam is machshir. So we don't know. So where are we holding? Which tashma? Which? Oh, Tashma, 10 lines from the bottom. Rabbi Shimon Omer, Dam magifasoi einoi machshir. So to go back, to remind the Olam, just a picture, we won't show the whole video. There's 4 types of blood. There's Dam chalolim all the way on the right, that's from a wound that occurred during killing the animal, not shechita, with an arrow. There's Dam magifasoi, that's what we're talking about right now, that's from a wound. The animal's still alive, but there's blood oozing out of a wound. And there's blood from a mace that died naturally, not from an arrow, just dropped dead. And then you have dam shechita all the way on the left. Tashma Reb Shimon Omer, dam magifasoi eri machshir. My love, it says that the blood from a wound doesn't do hechshir l'kabel tumah. My love, dam shechita machshir. We're trying to figure out, does the blood of a shechita, does that give hechshir l'kabel tumah? And it seems like only the blood from a wound, but not the blood of the shechita. Loi, Adam chalalim machshir. Yes, it's a beautiful diuk. It says dam magafasi, the second from the right, and l'chari could argue that it's coming to be medayik that not dam shechita all the way to the left. He says no, it is to be medayik, only dam magafasi, but not the one right next to it to the right of it, dam chalalim. The one to the left, yes, dam shechita, but not the one to the right. There's different types of blood. Avadam shechita mai. So what are you telling me? So shechita blood all the way to the left is okay. It is machshir. I'm sorry. Avadam shechita mai. Loy machshir. It's not machshir. Lishmin dam shechita. V'kolchin dam magifasai. So why does the Brisa talk about the blood of a wound? I'll tell you a much greater chiddush that even the blood of shechita is not machshir. Says Gemara dam magifasai. Tzrichalei. No, I said it on purpose. So gedai chamino mali katli kulei. Mali katli palga. What's the difference if he's completely dead or half dead? In other words, a wound is like a half dead. Why is the blood of a killed animal, show him again, dam chalalim, the guy all the way on the right, the arrow through the head, not a shechita, blood comes out. Why is that blood good for mukshel kabel tumah? D'chsiv v'dam chalalim yishta. The lion will drink the blood. So you see, it's one of the mashkim. He's drinking blood. We saw it in the safari. We saw that they drink the blood. They lick it up. Says the Gemara, dam shchita namiksiv alar tishbechenu kamayim. The blood of shchita is like water, so it's like one of the mashkim. So dam shchita should also be mashal kabel tumah. In Reb Shimon, says the Gemara, no, that pasuk is coming to say that when you have a carbon that went wrong, that something happened to it, a mum, so now you cannot shecht it, but you're allowed to benefit from it. You're allowed to benefit from the blood. The Gizva Avodah, they have a special, the Psula Mikdashim, have an Isser to shear the wool, and you're not allowed to work them. So maybe you have to treat their blood with more respect and bury it. Kamash Mallah, and then not. Okay? Zog the Gemara. The Ton of the Beir Yishmael. V'dam chalolim yishte. The lion is going to drink the blood of its victims. Prat ledam kiluach sheini machshir Chazarah. When you take blood from a living animal, like Chazarah Sadam, you do bloodletting. That blood, and I showed a video, I'm not going to show it today, of in Africa, the people, the Masimara guys, they drink directly from, they take from a live cow and then they drink it, they think it gives them a lot of koyach. That blood is not machshir. That says roim, the seeds. Torah Rabbana. Hashaychis v'hitis, dam aladat. So now we have a beautiful sugya. What happens when a person shechts an animal and the blood goes flying onto a gourd, a pumpkin? Now this pumpkin is truma, and obviously it's not attached to the ground. Rabbi Yoimer Huchsher, that blood is good enough for Huchsher l'kabel tuma, and now I have to be concerned that perhaps this gourd became tamei. Rabbi Yoimer Chullin, it's like a suffix. So what does a suffix mean? A suffix can mean that you wait it out until a certain time, or a suffix can mean you have to wait until Mashiach comes. There's a suffix forever, and there's a suffix, a temporary suffix. I always, whoever lived in Chicago, we're in Chicago, there's on the Vaughan Avenue, there's a restaurant there that had these, this is not from there, but this is what it looks like from this. When you drive by, you see hundreds of these gourds. There's a type of a gourd hanging from the thing, so it's always, okay. Dama Adlas, Rabbi Yoimer Huchsher, Rabbi Yoimer Chullin. Omer Rabbi Shai. Machash Rabbi Yoimer Huchsher, Rabbi Yoimer Chullin. Ono al milis moich. So what should we do? Rabbi says, this thing is tummy, it's Mukhshel l'kabel tuma. And Rabbi says, I don't know what to do. So what should we do? But we should remember all the steps here, because the Gemara is going to go through them, what each step means. Let's, what's the lashon? We don't have a Kedayu Reb Shimon Lismich al B'shas Adchak. Exactly. Let's be Samech Reb Shimon. What does that mean? Shahoy Reb Shimon Oimer Shchita Machsheres V'lo Idam. Reb Shimon says he's taking it all the way to the extreme. Reb Shimon said that it's the shchita, it's the cutting that gives the hechsher l'kabel tumah to the animal, but not the blood. And what does Reb Chia say? Reb Chia says, I don't know what to do. In other words, blood over here is not going to do a mukshel l'kabel. It's not going to be machshel l'kabel tumah. L'chayr, this gourd is kosher. So you have two people that say that it's okay. You have Reb Shimon Bar Yochai that says it's not the blood. So blood that sprays on a gourd doesn't do anything. And you have Reb Chia that says, I don't know what to do. So Mela, it's 2 against 1. Rebbe is so convinced that that's machshel l'kabel tumah, it should be tamei, this thing. So it's 2 against 1. Oh, Rav Papa. So Rav Papa explains. Hakol moedim heichad isel adam mitchila v'atzoif. Everybody's going to agree that if the blood was on the gourd from beginning to the end, kulam lo pligi. Then it's obvious that this gourd is Mukhshel l'kabel toma. I think Gemara is going to explain. What happened was that the gourd got sprayed with the blood. Right after he cut the first siman, the kana, let's say, spritz, and then he wipes it down, and then he cuts the second siman. Rebbe holds that the shchita from beginning to the end, and therefore there's blood on this pumpkin from the beginning of the shchita, and the beginning of the shchita is shchita. V'aydam shchitahu. So Mamela, this pumpkin becomes mukhshel l'kabel tumah, and we're going to assume that it's tamei. Rebbe Chia savar eina l'shchita l'basayif. Reb Chia holds, at this point, this Mandama holds, that Reb Chia holds that there's no, the Shechita happens at the tail end of the Shechita, all at the end. V'haidam makuhu. And therefore, this is blood of just a wound. The initial blood that comes out of the kana, it doesn't count. What we care about is the blood at the end. The blood of the wound was wiped away. But here comes a tremendous chiddush. That blood that was wiped away, had you not wiped it away, it would actually turn into blood of shechita once the shechita is over. It would retroactively, if it was there, only if it was there. Vaidam shchitu. Vaidam maku. Umay toilen, so what is he saying? You should wait around? Not for Mashiach. Toilen adavar gmar shchita. You should wait and see if the blood is there until the end of shchita. Yes, ladam, b'soif shchita. If the blood is on top of the pumpkin at the end of shchita, machshir, then it turns out, since there's a shchita only at the end, so the blood makkah is not a makkah anymore. The blood makkah is actually part of the shechita, and it has the ability to be machshir l'kabel tumah. But if you remove it, it's a tremendous chiddush here. You remove it, then there's no retroactive on it anymore. You can't say, oh, because at the time that it hit the gourd, it was wound blood, and you removed it. It was only wound blood, and wound blood is nothing. So what does it mean? So according to Reb Chia, he said it is machshir l'kabel tumah at the end of the day. According to Reb Shimon, the blood from shechita doesn't work. It's only the shechita itself. And according to Reb Chia, it is machshir l'kabel. So why are you bringing a right from Reb Shimon? Says Gemara, if you wipe it down and you don't have that initial blood, Reb Chia says it's no good, the blood is no good because it's damaka, and Reb Shimon says I don't hold of any blood that's machshir from shechita, and Memela in that case they're both maskim. Havali Rebbe Chad, Rebbe who says that it is machshir l'kabel tumah is only one, against Reb Chia and Reb Shimon who both hold that it's not machshir l'kabel tumah in a case where he wiped it down. Rav Ashi Omar Toilin Loila Masha. Rav Ashi, so again, so what do we say Toilin means? Toilin means according to Reb Chia, let's just wait a minute until the end of the shechita. Let's see if there was a completion of the shechita. If there's a completion of the shechita, because I hold that shechita happens all the way at the tail end. And Memela, here we had, remember just to show the Rashiva. There's no shechita v'tchilat soif. Does the shechita begin and end and it's one long process, or it's all the way at the tail end? Remember, you have to watch the gauges very carefully. The top gauge is yishal v'tchilat soif. It's all one shechita, or boom, the last second. Rabbi Chia says the last second. Memela, if the blood remains there without you wiping it down from the beginning to end, then the last second makes it into a kosher shechita, and then it turns out that blood was part of the shechita. If not, it's not. So toilet means you have to wait for a minute. Rav Ashi doesn't like that. Rav Ashi, toilet loyla mashma. Toilet means I have to wait until Mashiach comes forever. Why? Because Rabbi Chia had a suffix whether or not he doesn't know that it's shechita b'soif. He's misubik whether it is or it isn't. So meilu my toilin, I don't know what to do until Mashiach comes. So therefore I cannot eat it because maybe it's truma that's tamei, and also I can't burn it because maybe it's good truma. I'm not allowed to burn truma. So what does it mean? Let me rely on Reb Shimon. Reb Shimon loy machshir, Reb Chia is feika, but according to Reb Shimon, it's not machshir l'kabel tumah at all, and Reb Chia says it's a suffix. Says Gemara liin sreiva miyushavel adadi. But do you go ahead and burn it? Yes or no? According to Reb Shimon, you don't burn it. Why? It's not machshir l'kabel tumah. And according to Reb Chia, you don't burn it. What about eating it? So according to Reb Chia, you could. I'm sorry. According to Reb Chia, you can eat it because this is a suffix here. But according to Reb Shimon, you could eat it because it's not machshir l'kabel tumah. So only in the Sreifa department they agree to each other. Both say you don't burn it. Reb Chia says because it's a suffix. Reb Shimon says you don't burn it because it never got any liquids. Blood is not considered a liquid. Havale Rebbe Chad. Rebbe is the one that says it's machshir l'kabel tumah. Burn it. And you have two that say don't burn it. So they win. And therefore, you have to wait until Mashiach comes to understand whether or not you could eat it or burn it. Boy Reb Shimon Lakish. As Reb Shimon Lakish. Sarach Menachas, Moine by Rishon V'Sheni, Ayay Moine by Rishon V'Sheni. 7.5 years ago in Shir, I brought a bunch of flour and I brought oil and I made a mincha. And it's tough. You make a mincha and you're like, the oil is not getting everywhere. And then you have these clumps. You know, like, let's call this a clump. What's inside this clump? Flour. Flour that doesn't have any oil in it. That oil never touched the inside. The outside, yes, but the inside, not. So the question is, how do we view the flour inside this clump? Is it mukshal l'kabel tumah or not? Just because the oil touched some of the flour on the side doesn't mean all the flour is mukshal l'kabel tumah. How do we view this? So what do? Does this have the ability to give off tumah to something else? Or it itself, so the Gemara introduces to us this concept. We might have had it the other day for a split second. But now we're going to discuss chibas HaKodesh. The love of Kodesh the Rebbeinu Shalom has for kachim, and that gives it more abilities. So this piece right over here, this clump of flour. This clump of flour has a special love because it's kachim. So maybe that love stops at a certain place. It itself becomes pasul. We're going to view this as tameh. Lemimne be rishon v'sheni loy, but it doesn't have the ability to impart tumah to something else. Or perhaps no, it has the ability to go weiter. As the Gemara is going to describe later, is this a doiraisa? Even if it is a doiraisa, it's tameh doiraisa. How much further could it go? Omar Rebbe Lazar, Toshma. So Rebbe Lazar drops a bomb here. Very hard to understand him. The Gemara is going to attack him immediately. Every food that can be eaten, the only way to make something mushal l'kabel tumah is with water. And the story says, black and white, since there's some flour inside this lump that doesn't have water that touched it, that's not mushal l'kabel tumah. It has to have some water that's mushal l'kabel tumah. He was mechadish. Everybody holds to this. Reb Shimon Lakish, what was his question? I understand what Reb Lazar is saying, but nevertheless, Reb Shimon Lakish had a question. Does the love of the Kodesh, the Chivas HaKodesh, does it give it as if, the halach as if water touched it? Reb Lazar, but Reb Lazar has an extra pasuk here to tell us that this is not Mikabel Tumah. It says if you put water, I'm not going to show you this video. I'm going to show you the first frame, so you remember, right? This is the video of Moshe Kabel Tuma. It says in the pasuk, and he even says V'chiyuta, and he says funny words over there. V'chiyuta mayim al zera zurua. It says you should put water on top of a seed. So then, why does the pasuk say Mikol ha'ochel asher yachal? From every food that can be eaten, it's a little extra. It's even on seeds. Lamali, daf lamed vav amud beis. It's coming to exclude this clump of flour, that the inside is not makabel tumah. Says Gemara loy. Oh yeah, it's puzzle, but it's not mitama. Says Gemara loy chabet tumas meis v'chabet tumas sheretz. You have an extra pasuk. Rashi just points out real quickly that both psukim are by sheretz. But sometimes when you don't have what to do with the pasuk, we have in okay, let's learn for tumas meis. So let me show you this givaldik video. I like these kind of videos because they're very educational. Because it'll just explain to us one of the two things that we don't see mefurish in the Gemara. Make the volume maybe.
Welcome to the Tuma Kolbo. Here you have everything you need to become Tameh. So we have two main tracks. The long track, Tumas Mace. How much do you need? A kazayas of basar. And you are Tameh for 7 full days. And the Tahara, Haza'ah from the Efer Para Aduma, and then Mikvah. And we have the fast track, Tumas Sheretz. The shear, Kat Chadasha. How much time? Till the evening.
Lentil.
And that's it. The Tahara? Tevila in a mikvah. No para aduma. So, which track are you choosing?
Okay, one is talking about Tumas Meis, and one is talking about Tumas Sheretz. Utzrichin, the Gemara says, a simple tzrichusa. The Ashmin and Tumas Meis, Hasam with the boy Hechsher, Mishum de Lemitamim B'chadasha. If we're talking about the Tumah of a dead person, it's severe. Who the boy Hechsher? What? No, sorry, it's not severe. You need a Hechsher Tumah, why Mishum de Lemitamim B'chadasha. You need a larger share of the kazayis. We saw in the video, you need a kazayis. The size of an olive, not the size of a lentil. So it's less severe. MMA law, I have to be machshir l'kabel tumah. Our share is the mitam chadasha. It's much more sensitive to tumah. You become tummy even when you touch a small lentil piece of a dead mouse. Ema loy hechsher. I would think, okay, it's so severe, so you don't need a machshir l'kabel. You don't have to pour water on your fruit in order for them to become tummy. B'yashmi and sheretz, and if I just say sheretz, mishum the mitam tumah shiva. A sheretz is less severe. Why? It can't do tumah for 7 days, only for 1 day. I'm amazed. Shiva, dead person, you touch a dead person, you tumah for 7 days. It's so severe, you wouldn't need hechsher tumah. Tzricha, Maser Rav Yosef, Reb Shimon Omer, Huchshur b'shchita. We said in the Mishnah, and we decided that at least according to one shita, our Mishnah was talking about Chullin. The whole Mishnah of Chullin, we proved it because it says in the Mishnah Chaya is not in the Beis Hamikdash. Chullin. And Rav Shimon says that the shchita is what gives the hechsher l'kabel tumah. Huchshur v'afilu min b'rishon v'sheni. We become muchshur l'kabel tumah, meaning even to give over, to impart tumah. Amai v'alav oichla baba maimu. If you have just a shchita, where's the water? If you're going like Rebbe Lazar, that's mamish. You need water on the food. Where do you have the water here? Amar le Abaya, asok hechsher mayim d'Rabbanan. No. Reb Shimon Bar Yochai was talking about just the Rabbanon. It's a Gzeira. That's why he said that by Shechita it's Mekabel Tumah. Reb Lazar on the other end is talking about the Deraisa. You could actually, what's the difference between the Rabbanon and the Deraisa? Do I take this truma and I burn it? If it's Deraisa, you burn it. The Rabbanon not. So Abaya is going to use this answer again, and Reb Yosef doesn't like that he's just answering this. Now what? We're talking about the Rabbanon. Omer Reb Zeirus, I'll bring you another raya. Toshma Haboitzer Lagas. What's a Boitzer Lagatz? New video for Boitzer Lagatz, very, very short. It just shows you that the person didn't want the juice coming out of these grapes. What would a person rather? Keep the juice, use the juice, or let it fall on the floor? This juice is Boitzer Lagatz juice. He didn't really want it to happen. So does it have the ability to impart, to be machshir l'kabel tumah or not? Shammai Omer Huchsher. Shammai himself, not Beisha. Shammai himself says it's Muchshir l'kabel tumah. Hillel Omer lo Huchsher. V'shasik le Hillel Shammai. The Gemara says that he's mamish like forced, like by the day the eagle was made. Now Amai v'lav oichla b'men b'mayimu. But what's the problem? There's no water there. Why is it Muchshir l'kabel tumah? You're right. You're right, there's no water, and it shouldn't midaraisa work, but we made it, midarabana we made it. Rav Yosef, Abayi's Rebbe, yeah, the famous Rav Yosef. I tell you that Reb Shimon says that the shchita alone is what gives it the hechsher l'kabel tumah. You don't need liquid. And I ask you, why not? You need water. Obviously, it's so hechsher mayim. You tell me it's the rabbanon. And then Reb Zeir comes and proves it to you. V'armis lei, you told Reb Zeir, oh, the boitzer legas also a sok echshemayim. So then Reb Shimon Melakish asked if this clump of flour does it impart tumah or not. You should have answered yes. Midrabanan imparts tumah. Just keep on going with your theme. Shimon Melakish nami a sok echshemayim. Amar lei. Otu Reb Shimon Melakish litlis coming by lei. Reb Shimon didn't have a question of midrabanan. It imparts. Of course, midrabanan imparts tumah, this clump of flour. I want to know, Reb Shimon Melakish want to know whether or not this clump of flour, if you could burn it, in other words, is it a deraisa, not if it's a derabanan. So says the Gemara, Michlal, the Chibas HaKodesh, deraisa. It seems like Rish Lakish agrees that this clump is tamei midaraisa. Otherwise, he would have asked, what about the clump? Do you burn it or do you not burn it? He didn't ask, do you burn it? He asked, does this impart a rishon and a sheni? Does it continue? But the klump itself, he knew that it's a deraisa, that you burn it. Min alan. And where did he get that from? It says by shlamim that if the meat touches something that's tameh, it becomes tameh. And we have to understand, you have, Rabbi said, think about it, you have a carbon in the Beis HaMikdash. What are the possibilities of the meat in the Beis HaMikdash to become tameh? How? They have to have one of the 7 liquids. Where are they going to get the 7 liquids from? There's no honey in the Beis HaMikdash. The blood from the shechita, no good. The butter, what? Yain on the thing. Okay. So the Gemara, water. What kind of water? Okay, so the Gemara goes through all the things. There's oil. How? There's blood everywhere over there in the Beis HaMikdash. We had this the other day. The blood of the karbanis doesn't have the ability to be machshir l'kabel tumah shenemar l'yisichleno al haaretz shebechenu kamayim. It has to be something that spills on the floor like water. Only blood that spills on the floor. But blood that you try to catch and receive, kabbalah sadam. So that's not considered al haaretz shebechenu kamayim. So it's not machshir. Ela this kasher. So you're going to say this kasher be machshir beimet b'chaya. There's something in the Beis HaMikdash. There's a whole butcher section over there. Here. The stone, the stone thing, the marble, and this is the water of basement b'chaya. Not only are the waters tahar, that water doesn't have the ability to machshir l'kabel tumah. What we're saying that it doesn't have the ability. This mashke doesn't have the ability to be machshir. Say it was not referring to water, it was referring to blood. No, you can't say that. You're talking about plural, 2 types of liquids. What are the 2 types? Blood and water. It can't be just blood. It's mashke, it's also water. Elalav. So you see from here, the iskar b'chibas hakodesh. The iskar b'chibas hakodesh. You see from here that just the love, the shlamim becomes mukshal l'kabel tumah, not from blood and not from water, ella from it has to be a normal process. Not time a guy spilled the wine on him by mistake. The normal process of he became tamei, mukshal l'kabel tumah from the love of kodesh. Yudima, perhaps, Rav Yehuda Mashmuel. Have a great case. You had a shlamim and you brought it through the river. Why did you bring through the river? Bedavka. So if you're at the shechita, you heard they give the animal to drink right before the shechita. It makes it easier for them to flay it, to skin it. So you bring him through the nachal. You make him all wet. It has water from that river. Ella Meseifa. From then to the pasuk. That the wood. Oh, I have levina here. Here's levina, shmak, frankincense. This is makabel tumah. Now, does anybody eat this? No, it's not edible. How could it be makabel tumah? It's not a kli. It's not food. What is it? B'habasar. I need a special word to tell me that they're makabel tumah. Even wood. They're not edible. It's the love of Kedusha, of Kodesh that we have on the Levina and on the wood, and that makes it like food to be Mekabel Tumah. Hachinami. So too in the case of a clump of flour. Chibas HaKodesh Machsharton, the love of Kodesh gives it a Hershel Mekabel Tumah. Mai, and on that, Rish Lakish asks the question. Ki mahanya daf lam zayin omad alf on top. Ki mahanya chibas HaKodesh. Wow, we're doing well. 57 minutes. Maybe this chizah from the Torah gives it a psul in itself, but it doesn't have the ability to impart tumah. Or maybe it does have the ability to impart tumah. Thank you. Tishbi Taretz Kushivi's boys. Rabbi, have a wonderful day. A good
Merit the schus of spreading Torah throughout the world. Sponsor a shir today. MDYsponsor.com or sponsor at MDY.com.